Evening, everyone, and welcome to this channel named Geeks for Geek School. First of all, thank you very much to all the students who are liking and sharing the videos. I'm shooting on this channel regularly in the groups and making the videos reach to the maximum students possible. Now, as you guys know very well, we guys were doing this game named Runner Game. We are already defining the code for these things over here. So if I will run the code, so I will get a window, and on that I will get to see this very first screen, which we have two text things and a sprite. And the moment I will press this spacebar key, what will happen? I will get redirected to the main game, and I can start playing the game now. And as soon as it will hit the snail, it will redirect me on this blue screen where I will get to see my score as well as this runner game and this runner over here. Right, so that's what we have coded till now. Now, if suppose you want to increase the number of snails, right now only we are able to see only one snail, which is coming from the left side, and it is moving along the x-axis and it is going towards the right. Sorry, it is coming from the right side and it is moving towards the left. Right, but if you want to increase the number of nail sprites, okay, suppose you want to see four or five or many sprites, many snail sprites on your game window. So how you will do that? So what we can do, we can come down over here and simply we can add a customized event for this thing. So we will configure that customized event in such a way that the Python, this platform will trigger that event continuously after a specific interval of time. After a time, after some seconds, or after you can say 900 milliseconds or 1000 milliseconds, the event will get triggered automatically. So that's what I would like to do here now. And the moment the event will get triggered, a new snail will get created that we will be able to see on our display window, on our game window. So for that, we can have a variable first. So let's have a variable with name title. Thank you very much to all the students who are right now attending this lecture. Please do not forget to like and share this video, and also please invite your friends too, so that they can also enjoy this code which I will be sharing with you guys today. It's a very interesting code that we are going to learn today. So user event, right? That's the way you can create a customized event. Fine. Now we need to add a number to it. So let's add one to it. Why we have added one? Because there are some predefined events also on Python, and I don't want this to, you know, create any mess. Fine. Okay. So we are done with defining the code with the help of with which we are going to create a customized event. So this will create for us a customized event. And now it's time for us to trigger it. So how we will do that? We can simply make use of this igame. Okay. Dot time dot set timer. So we need to set the timer, right? Time after which the event needs to be triggered. So I want this event named obstacle underscore timer. I have saved this customized event in this obstacle underscore timer. That is the reason I need to call it here. And simply I can then pass the time interval after which I would like the Python platform to create or to get this thing executed. Fine. So this obstacle timer, this event will get triggered after every 900 seconds now by the interpreter of Python. Okay. Now let's come down and see whether this code is going to give us the correct output or not. So I would like to come on this if control statement where I am checking the value of game active. So if the game active value is, if this condition is not true, then this thing will happen, right? So here in this else part of, let's do one thing. Let's put the else part. Let's define mm, this over here. Let's define a if control statement over here, right? So if this event dot type is equal to obstacle timer, right? So if the event type is equal to the event which we have defined, right? It's the customized event, right? Which we have defined a code for. If this condition is true and if this condition is true, right? Then I would like to bring this thing test. Let's see whether we'll be able to get the required output or not. So I am running my code and here I go. Okay, it is showing me an error now. What is the error? Here, unindent. Okay, there is some indentation issue. Let me just change it to indentation. Now it is perfectly fine. If I will now run the code, I will get the required. I think, yeah. So now let's press the spacebar key. We are able to run the game. Okay, and we are able to see this. We are getting this test also over here in this logs window, right? So this code is perfectly fine. It's time for us to create an empty list, in which we can store the rectangles of all the snails which we would like to see getting reflected on our game window. So what is the concept which I am going to use is, I'm going to create an empty list, and then I'm going to store some rectangles in that empty list, and those rectangles I will use for defining, for bringing the snail's image on the display window, and then I will define a code with the help of which I can make the rectangles move along the x-axis from the left side, from the right side towards the left of the screen. So that's the kind of thing I would like to do now. So for that, we'll have to come up over here, and that's where we have defined the code for the snail rectangle. Just below this, we can define the code for the empty list. So I would like to create an empty list with this same obstacle. Should be obstacle, let's say rectangle list. Okay, and let me just give it an empty list. Okay, so I've initialized this variable with an empty list. Now let's come down here and let's change the things we have put inside this if control statement. So if this event type is true, if this event will occur and this condition is true, then this will happen. So we can eliminate it now. And let's have this obstacle underscore correct. Then we can use this list dot append function. I hope you guys remember this append function. So that's the function with the help of which you can append different items to a list you have created. Right. So I would like to append the snail's rectangle first. Where is that variable in which the snail's rectangles are getting saved? Where is that snail surface? Not the rectangle, snail surface. The snail underscore surface. So that's the one in which the image of the snail is getting loaded. So we can come down here and we can simply put it inside this append function. Now because we want to create a rectangle for all the surfaces, get rectangle, right? So what will happen? Every rectangle that will get created will first come inside the list, and then the snail surface will come on the rectangle, and rectangle, sorry, okay, and they will get saved in the list. Okay, now we need to define a position where we would like to see the rectangle getting reflected. So I would like to create over here, bottom right, and have 600 300. I think that will do. Or not? Let's have a random value somewhere in between, let's say somewhere in between 900 and 1100. How about that? So for putting a random value or for generating a random value over here, we need to import the randint function from the random module. So we have to use this code from random import randint, right? So this randint is the one which can help us, which will help us in generating a random number. I would like to get a random number between 911. We can simply put 911 close the brackets, right? Sorry. Okay, so this is going to help us in generating a random number in between 900 and 1100. And randomly a position will be assigned to the rectangle which will get created. Okay, now it's time for us to create a function with the help of which we can make the rectangle move along the x-axis. What we will do, we can so here we are checking this value, right? Whether this game active is true or not. So inside this, we have a function named display score. As far as I remember, yes, I have declared a function named. I have made use of a function named display score, and I've assigned that kind of value which that function is returning to the variable score. So that's the one I was talking about. Now what I am doing, I am somewhere down over here. After this display update, we can put this thing obstacle. Okay, I would like to have a function with name obstacle movement, and this is going to help us in moving the rectangle. This I would like to pass layered surface as parameter. Sorry, not layered surface. I would like to pass obstacle, okay, rectangle list as parameter, right? Because that's the one in which all the rectangles will get created and get saved. Now let's come up and start coding that function we just define the name of in the bottom. So how we will define a function, we can make use of this simple keyword if, and let's use this function named obstacle movement. Defining this function now, like to pass an argument to this function. So the argument will be obstacle list. I will tell you later on why or how we can use this for getting a list of rectangles generated. Now, if we need to check whether it is an empty list or not, we can simply put this over here. If obstacle list, if it is not empty, then what should happen? So for obstacle list, for obstacle rect, okay, obstacle list, right? And obstacle rect dot x, because we want to see the snails moving along the x-axis, and they should come from the right side and they should start moving towards the left. So that is the reason we need to pass this thing to this obstacle break.x, right? So this is perfectly fine. Okay, now it's time for us to get them reflected on the screen. How can we do that? we have this is very simple. I hope you know about it. So split is a function we can use for getting our snail surface and the optical rectangle reflected on the screen. Right? Optical rectangle is the one in which the rectangles are there, and that's the snail surface. You know, the variable in which the snail's image is there. Now, if suppose this list is not empty, then this whole thing will take place. And finally, I would like this function to return something. So I would like it to return towards the obstacle list. Right. That's how we can do it. So what I have done, I have made this thing globally accessible now. Okay, there are two scopes. I hope you know about a scope of a function. So I've made it now globally accessible. Okay, and I can now access it inside this while loop. So what we have to do, whatever the function named obstacle movement is going to return, we can use it now inside this while loop somewhere. Okay, so let's do that quickly. I need to come down and that display store. Okay, that's the one. And here we can use this gravity, I think. Is that gravity? This is the one. Here I have put the name of that obstacle movement. So what I am doing here is overriding this obstacle rectangle list with this value. Okay, now let me just tell you what will happen. So the first thing the interpreter will do is it will call this function, right? Then here the rectangles will get generated, the snail surfaces will be put on the rectangle. And finally, this will return obstacle list to us. Right. Now this obstacle list, obstacle rectangle list, which is an empty list, it will be overridden by this value. Right, so it will get continuously updated with the new rectangles which will get generated. Now, if I will run the code, let's see whether I will be able to get the required output or not. So I am running it and I am getting an error. What is the error? Let's check it out. So it says none type object has no attribute append. You know why it has returned us this error? Because we haven't in this what is happening in this function obstacle movement, we have made use of this if loop, the if control statement. So, right, so if this is true, then this should happen. If this condition is not true, then what? Okay, we haven't defined the else part. Let's do that. We can define the else part like this. So if suppose this condition is not true, I would like the function in I would like this function to return an empty list to us. Return, we can simply put this thing over here. Let me now run this game and see what's going to happen. Okay, so we are able to see the snails now. See? Okay. So it's working perfectly fine. Okay. Great. Fine. So that's how you can get the required output. Fine. Now it's time for us to increase the timer because I want the interpreter to generate for us the rectangles at this pace. Right. So that's how we can increase or decrease the pace of the game. Okay. Fine. Right. That's the beauty of the game. See how beautiful it is looking. Isn't it? Looking beautiful to you? Just put your comments in the comment section. How are you? Whether you're liking this game or not? I am really liking this game. Okay, let's now define some more things so as to make the game more interactive. So I've changed it from 900 to 1400. Okay, and let's now come up. The obstacle function is not working properly. Okay, and besides that, the snails are uh, moving along the x-axis. Okay, now if suppose you want to see something moving in the sky also, so how you will do it? So we have an image of a fly in the very same folder in which I have all my game images. Let me just show it to you. I think it's in programs, right? So I have all my images over here, run a game. I have this fly image also, right, present in the same folder in which I have all the other files. So I would like to see them on my game window, but not on the floor. I would like my game to reflect them somewhere in the background on the top in the sky, right? And the way the snails are moving from right towards the left side along the x-axis. In the same way, I would like to see the flies also moving like that. So what we can do for getting that kind of output, we can simply, I think, better if we'll put the code here. So we can make use of this obstacle list, right? And then we can put obstacle or obstacle in obstacle obstacle underscore. Fine. So here I would like to check if see for obstacle in obstacle list, and then I would like to check if this obstacle dot x is greater than 0 or not. Fine. And or else what we can do, we can change it to minus. I think that will be a good option because the dimensions of a screen is the dimensions of our screen. I will that 800 by 400. So it's better if I keep minus 100 over here. It will give us the correct output. Fine. So if this thing is there, so let's first do one thing. Let's come down. And the way we have saved these images, these snail images, the sky images in these variables over here, in the same way we can save the fly images also. So let's have another variable, fly first. Okay, on this I am going to make use of this whole thing and I'm putting it over here. I would like to access snail's fly one image, right? So I'm copying it from here. I think it's the runner game only. So we can change it to fly one. Right, so that's the way you can add or load the image in this variable fly underscore surface. Fine. And after this, what we can do, we have used this convert underscore alpha function so as to convert the image in such a form which will not put too much of load on our game. Okay, it's time for us to come down and make some changes in the if control statement which we just defined. That we define any if control statement or not? Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. If event.type is obstacle timer and if it is if, so here we can put some condition like this. If rand integer 0 comma 2. So if it is 0, then the snail should get reflected. If it is 1, then the fly should get reflected. That's what I would like code to behave. So that we can simply use this whole thing, cutting it from here, paste it here. What will happen? Obstacle rectangle list. In this list, this surface will get appended through this rectangle. This surface will get appended at this point. This point through this rectangle, a surface. This surface will get appended. So that's the concept. Okay. Let's define the else part also of this if control statement. So we can come right at the end, and here we can define this else, and let's paste the code copied. Let's make some changes here. So here what we can do, instead of this snail surface, we can make it fly fly surface. Fine. If this is 0, then this should get reflected, otherwise this should get reflected. If this condition is true, this should get reflected, otherwise this should get reflected. So that's how this code is going to work. Now what? So the next thing that we can do is I think everything over here is good to go. I want to see the fly getting reflected in the sky somewhere. So we'll have to change the y attribute, I think. Let's change it to 210. I think that will be a better option. Right, and besides this, I don't want, there are some lines of code which I don't want now to get executed by the compilers. So let me just comment them out. We don't want this screen.lit nail surface nail rect anymore. This, right. I think this also we don't require. Let me just run this and check whether I will get the required. Okay, so I am getting the required output, but what is happening? The snails are visible to me, but the fly is not. Why? Because we haven't defined the code yet with the help of which we can get to see the fly. And we don't want this also, the snail rectangle. We are not using it anywhere, so we don't want this. I'm simply commenting it out. I think now what will happen, the collider thing will stop working. This player of mine will collide with these. It is still working, and I'm getting this error. Name fly surface is not defined. Why am I getting this error? What I'll have to check. For me come up and see whether I have defined. Okay, it's fly underscore surf. It's not surface, it is surf. That's why I am getting this error. Let me just remove it from here. Now, if I will check my code, I get the same output. Okay, so I'm able to see the snail flying over here. See, the obstacle, the collision code is not working, no problem at all. But I'm able to see the flying snails also, and I'm able to see the snails which are moving on the floor also. So that's the beauty of this code which I have defined just now. They are getting generated because of this if control statement which I just defined. That's the if control statement which is helping us in generating those snails in the sky and as well as the snails in the what we call it, the floor. Now, why only the snails are getting reflected? Why not the flies? Why the flies are not visible to us? So let's check it. We'll have to check the code we have defined inside this obstacle movement named function. Okay, so obstacle list, this is perfectly fine. Okay, so obstacle for obstacle in, this is perfectly fine. Now, why we are not able to see the flies on our game window? Obstacle rec.x is equal to this. screen dot split. I think we need to put an if control statement over here. We can have some condition like this obstacle dot, because the dimensions of the snail and the fly is different. We can put something like this over here. So if the obstacle rect, okay, obstacle rect dot bottom, if the bottom is equal to 300, right? If it is equal to 300, then what should happen? So I would like snail surface to get reflected, right? If this condition over here is true, else I would like to see the fly getting reflected. I think this will give us the correct output now. We'll be able to see the flies also. Have to run it again. Okay, why am I not getting the output? It should be fly surface. Sorry, I am again and again making use of this surface thing. Should be fly surf. So the snails are there. Where are the flies? I'm waiting for the flies to come. Okay, now the flies are there. I just saw one fly. This is another fly. So that's how you can bring the flies also on your game. I hope you are liking this code. Please do share your views in the comment box, right? So that I can also check them and revert accordingly. Fine. It's time for us to use this window and define the code which can help us in checking the collision happening in between our player and the obstacles. So here it's a very simple code. It's not too complicated. We have this start type store. We have everything over here. We need to now come down, and there's the point where we have defined this fly surface. We have this tail surface over here. Okay. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's define a separate function for checking the collision. Let's do it like this. Define collision. Okay, and let's pass two parameters to this function. Here, I would like to pass an obstacle. Earlier, I used obstacle. Remember this thing. Now, this is I've used obstacle. So, if this condition is true, if this obstacles condition is true, then what should happen now? That's what we need to define. For obstacle underscore this underscore rect, right? In obstacles, okay. If it is in the obstacle, then let's check if the player or active function. Remember, collide rect is the function we use for checking the collision. If the player collides with obstacle, the obstacle is on the obstacle rectangle. Right? So if this collision happens, then this function should return false. Right? That's what we can do. Otherwise, it should return true. I think that will do. Okay, now what we can do, we need to come down here in this while loop, which is the main game loop, and the way we have used this thing, here gravity. Yeah. So what we did here was we took the value from this optical movement and we assigned it to a value. Same thing we are going to do for the collision also. So we are going to take, or else shall we do it in some other way? Let's do it in the same way. So what we can do, there is a variable named game active. If you remember, we've defined it right on the top. So if the game is active, all these things are going to happen. Otherwise, nothing. Otherwise, we'll see the blue screen on which the player is coming in. The text is getting reflected. So now the game active value will be taken from the collision named function which pass these two things, player rectangle and the obstacle rectangle, which has two parameters to this function. Right, now let's run the game and see what's going to happen, whether we'll be able to check the collision or not. Okay, so the moment it collided with the snail, game got bored and we got redirected onto the screen. Let's restart the game. Not restarting. Why? Because the snail is still overlapping with the snail. Be able to restart it perfectly fine. So now the game is working. Okay, so this is it to my side in this lecture. Hope you guys enjoyed it a lot. Do not forget to like and share this video as well. Let me just check the comment box before leaving the meeting. Before ending the meeting. Thank you very much to all the students who are regularly attending these videos I'm shooting on this amazingly beautiful channel, Geeks for Geeks School. Chandan Yadav, thank you very much, dear, for joining me at this time in this tutorial. I'm not able to see anything in the comment section. I hope you have understood everything. So this is it from my side in this lecture. Have a great day ahead, dear. Bye and take care.